the Corsa Security Orchestrator, what we call the CSO. What is the CSO? What does it help you do? Well, it is a single portal to automatically deploy, scale, and optimize your on-prem virtual firewalls. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Palo Alto Networks VM series devices specifically. And when you think about virtualizing your on-premise infrastructure, you want to bring that cloud-like experience. So what comes to mind? Well, deploying with a click of a button, scale out, scale up, scale down, complete flexibility. A really important one is trusted integration across vendors. Corsa Security and Palo Alto Networks work together on a regular basis, and that trusted integration is there. So for context, what is the CSO? Well, it is a virtual appliance itself. Similar to things like Panorama, for instance, from Palo Alto Networks. Their virtualized, centralized management system. We offer the same type of deployment and delivery to the customer. We deliver the CSO as an OVA file or a QCOW2 file, depending on the hypervisor you want to host on. We currently support KVM and VMware. And the installation is done by the customer in the customer's infrastructure. Very easy, very straightforward. So let's have a look at the web UI to start with. I'm going to come back. This is the landing page, first of all, of the CSO. So I've already logged in. I'll come back to this dashboard just as we end the video, but I do want to bring some context first by having a look around. So let's just go right to the VMs page. I'll start this by saying the Corsa Security Platform is server agnostic. So when the CSO orchestrates the creation, the deployment, the scaling of all of the VM series devices, it can occur on a server that you can bring to this solution. We'll go through and help you understand the pros and cons of the server you're bringing. We'll look at the NIC cards, and we'll make recommendations to you as we go through. So we are fully server agnostic. This is a bring your own server solution. So I thought the best way to introduce the VMs, you can see I have several running here, is to go ahead and go through the workflow of adding one. The first choice we see here, of course, because we're using Panorama, we now have a choice to select a fixed CPU VM or a traditional VM series licensing model, or a flex CPU VM. As some of you may have heard, Palo Alto has now offered software credits, a wonderful scalable way to leverage virtual firewalls like the VM series. So I'm going to go ahead and click Flex. I want to be able to leverage those software credits, and I'm going to work through each one of these, and I'll kind of deviate out and I'll show you how there are some prerequisites to doing this that the CSO offers, and that allows you to deploy and scale these VMs quickly and easily. All right, so let's just call this for demo. I'll select again my server agnostic server that I have already installed for the demonstration. I see that it actually happens to be a KVM type, so this is where the VM series devices will live, on a KVM hypervisor on this server. I'll go ahead and I'll select 10.16, PanOS 10.16. Of course, this is the operating system that runs on the VM series devices. This is another one of these prerequisites that if I was to go look at our inventory on the CSO, I see that I have KVM base image 10.16 ready to go. Doesn't have to be uploaded at the time of deployment. Very, very simple and straightforward. Then I'll select an authorization code. Now we're talking about how I leverage my software credits from Palo Alto Networks. I'm going to take you over to our licensing page and just show you that we have made the CSO integrated with software credit licensing from Palo. We have made the CSO operationally aware of the difference between a fixed and a flex authorization code, and how to move that firewall through its full life cycle dependent upon the vCPU type. So you can also see that we have resource utilization here, and we've uploaded roughly about 11 licenses. Okay, so another key resource. I'm going to go ahead and create a very VM100 for those of you who are familiar with the VM series. But again, this is now a flex license, so those names no longer apply. I could do this, this, or this. In fact, why don't I do that? Now you can see I'm getting a full view of what I have available to me on the server I've selected. So I'm obviously in good shape. I have lots of resources left. So I'm going to move ahead to my management interface. Here's another key piece. When we launch, deploy, and scale these VM series firewalls, they of course need to be addressable. They need an IP address. And what we've done is we've created IP pools. You can see that I've pre-configured that in the CSO. This is a range of IP addresses that we can use to launch VMs. So there's no point in the workflow where we're stopping to ask the operator what IP address they'd like to use. We're moving ahead and we're going to leverage that from a pooling system that we've incorporated into the CSO, again, to ensure that we are ready to deploy and scale when the time comes. So just a couple of interfaces. We'll do something simple. Maybe we're deploying a vWire on this particular VM. I'll call out here, I'm not going to use this, but I'm going to call out this last section is our ability. This is an integration with Panorama that we're able to effectively have a zero-touch config. So while Corsa doesn't play in the posture and policy, we work on the deployment and the infrastructure side, the plumbing of the network, if you will. This is an opportunity, if you so choose, to leverage to identify a Panorama host, to identify a template stack and device group, and of course an authorization key so Panorama trusts the CSO and this VM. So I'm not going to do that today, but that is a way that you can launch a VM and immediately begin inspecting traffic on it. Okay, so that again is optional. So we'll go ahead and we will add this, and we're off and running. So if I was to head back to my dashboard, we now see some changes. So we now see the creation of a VM here. We see one that's offline. We had that before. And this column here is really just to show you the most important pieces, and that's the servers, the VM series. So along with all of this, we use this dashboard for resource utilization, for things specific to firewall health and capacity. This is the third column where we're showing you the vCPU's licenses that are remaining, as well as some insights in your credit performance. So while this has only been up for 14 days, over time in a deployment in production, you'll begin to see how you're leveraging your software credits. Great feature, great little widget right here. And then the events and logs, which of course one would expect. So with that, I wanted to make this video quick. Hopefully it was useful to you. Look out for more videos in the future. Thanks for listening.